Yes. Now we continue with the second part of strategy implementation, and we want to start from the the enablers. The enablers are basically the factors which increase the probability or the chance of successive implementation. Those factors that would increase the probability of a successive implementation, you call them the enablers. And the common examples that we do have would include, number one, the management itself, the structure, the culture, and technology. Okay. With management, one thing that we have to learn is that there is no management without leadership. Let's start from leadership. He defined, strategic leadership as the leader's ability to anticipate, envision, to maintain flexibility, and to empower others to create strategic changes necessary. So the ability of a leader to anticipate, to envision, to maintain flexibility, and to empower others to create strategic changes necessary. That is the strategic leadership. And you need the strategic leadership for you to carry out or implement these strategies. It is very true, according to the writings of Bossidy. He says that, actually, he argued that you can only execute the strategy if the leader has his heart, his soul immersed in the organization. So a leader should be fully involved, in the implementation process or in the operations of the business. Because if the leader is not involved, then we are going to be affected. So he must be in charge of getting things done by running the three core processes. He has to pick other leaders, he has to set strategic directions, and he has to conduct operations. The other enabler that I talked about is the structure. Now, you see, the organizational structure does specify the organizational formal reporting relationships. Okay. It specifies the procedures, the authority, and decision-making processes. So for an organizational structure, this one is very important for us to implement the strategy because it determines and specifies the decisions that are to be made and the work that is to be completed by everyone within an organization as a result of those decisions. So this is very important. Organizational structures, they help to, us to successfully implement the strategies, even as a means of outperforming competitors. Okay. Because of the same, after the firms, formulate the strategies, they execute, they must make designing, organizational structure as the next priority. Actually, the strategy, the structure, and the environment, they need to be closely aligned. And this is very important. Every good and strategic leader and the strategic manager must know that. The science of management, implementation of the strategy require the availability of an appropriate organizational structure, because if you don't have an appropriate organizational structure, it's very difficult for you to implement these strategies. So you have to identify the strategic objectives and check that they are aligned to appropriate departments, the offices, and the individuals. Okay, this is extremely important. You also need technology, as an enabler. Now, you see, technology defined basically as the methods, the techniques that are used to convert the inputs into the desired outputs. So those various ways are the ones that we, that we are referring to when we bring technology to play. Let's look at the issue of data warehousing. A central repository of data and information which is created by integrating data from multiple disparate sources is needed. So you see, if you don't have data as an organization, then it will hamper the way how you make decisions, because you always need data to guide. You need data to help you in the decision-making processes. Business analytics, is part of the things that follows under, this enabler. So the ability to analyze the process, performance in real time and make the right evidence-based adjustments is what you call business analytics. So business analytics enables us to execute what was once completed in a project in real time using the critical thinking process. Usually we refer to this critical thinking process, CDAM. Now, what do the initials CDAM stand for? CDAM are the initials that stand for sense. Have to sense, you have to interpret, you have to decide, you have to act, and to monitor. Okay, this is always employed in decision making or in business analytics. You also have to factor in the issue of the digital performance dashboard. Now, with this one, it will just provide the ability to measure performance as it is occurring. So, for example, just like the stock market, if you have the well-designed digital performance dashboard, it will encourage real-time engagement, empowerment, and self-management. So you need to see the digital performance dashboard where you're checking activities as they are going on. And you need also data visualization. Okay, related to technology, it deals with the emerging science of displaying data and information to communicate ideas and conclusions effectively, both in terms of aesthetic form and functionality. Now, there are those barriers that hinders from achieving the strategic plans. You've seen that many strategic plans may be formed, but they fail. What are some of the common barriers? So a common mistake is to assume that formulating a strategy will lead to painless implementation. This is different, There is an implementation deficit most of the time. Strategies may be formed, very good strategies, and the following are some of the common barriers. Number one, poor planning. If you have poor planning, you don't have strategic leadership, you lack resources, or you have resistance to change, then this may hamper your ability to, to implement the strategic plan. So you need that. You have to make sure that your plans are very well put and the strategic plans are there. You have strategic leadership. You have the resources necessary, and you do not resist change. You have to adapt and manage change very well. Manage yourself very well when change comes. Then you will be able to achieve these. You'll be able to implement the strategies that you manage to set. So in the next conversation, we have shown you now how to implement the strategy. There is also need of monitoring and evaluating these strategies. Now they are on process, they're in progress, they are working. How do you check? How do you monitor? How do you do the evaluation? This is where we are going. So next time, in the next conversation, we will be talking about monitoring, and the evaluation of a strategy. So as for now, I wish you well. Ensure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.